We are a feasibility tool for real estate developers and architects for multifamily and mixed-use buildings. But the mixed-use buildings are having a residential portion. And that's actually my background, and that's the use case that we're working on. So the problem with multifamily buildings, very initial design, is that it's not optimized. It's very slow. You know, it's a human labor. It can take forever or weeks, and a human can come up with one design option where it's not necessarily optimizing the profitability of a project. And today the process is it's multi-tool. So some architects are still using pen and paper. Some are using CAD. Some are using everyone are using Excels. It's very, very important to Excels to actually know your sellable area, or rentable area, habitable areas. And that's very, very important for a project. It's critical in the early stages. And some are using SketchUp, Revit. You know, there's so many tools. Just for you to understand, anyone can guess the difference between the left and the right schemes. So just by, the right one, the corridor is 20 feet shorter, which makes it profitable in more 100 square feet per floor. It's 11 typical floor, and it's over $2 million net profit. So it's very similar design, and this is the most simple building in design. Think about most buildings are much more complex, and there's so many ways to actually make your project more efficient. So what we're trying to do is something very instant that can give the developer and architect many design options, optimize one, and up to code, same like Cristiano was talking before. So our machine, our product, the zoning of a place is actually the input of the product. And then the software will generate in a very short process the layouts, and the way it's going, it will offer the user where to place it's like templates, where to place a template, and it's considering rear yards and lot coverage and street wall and all the regulation that usually it has to calculate. And then it offers a lot of layouts, first stage for the vertical cores and the circulations area. And then our system knows one of the inputs for the system is actually the legal light and air walls, where the system can actually place legal rooms, bedrooms, living rooms along those walls. And the system, this is something I'm explaining it more for architects, but it has mandatory conditions. So all the dwelling units must have access to legal light and air. And all of them must have the egress that Cristiano was talking about before. The distance to the escaping the building should be complying. And the vertical cores should be, the stairs, the elevators should be placed correctly. And just to show you some use cases. So this is a multifamily in Bedford, New York City, and that's a 320 unit building. And if we're going, let's go over the floors. So that's the mixed use floor and mixed use and residential floors, the first floor and the second floor. But look at that floor. This is a residential floor, and that's fully automated. All the layouts that you see for the units are fully automated. And the system will not work if you don't explain to the system that you have window walls, like on the right scheme. The left scheme, the system thinks it's all block walls, or in New York City, we call them lot line walls, where you don't have the legal light and air. And so the system will actually refuse to generate, like you see in the left scheme, of the units, whereas in the right scheme, you can immediately see that it's generated the units. That's another project in Broadway, New Jersey, in 136 units. And as you can see, the cellar, first floor, so that's just the schemes, but all the units must have access to the corridor and to the circulation and to the vertical cores. So that's the first stage of the design of a multifamily, and if in your typical floor. And if you don't have that, and as you saw before, it's very critical, the typical floor, the efficiency of that typical floor, because the profitability of a project lie on that. And so if you don't have the right circulation, if you don't have a corridor, or it's not properly laid out with access to all the units, then the system will not automate the design of the of your dwelling units. That's another project that to show you an example that if you don't have access to so those are the floors, but if you don't have access to the vertical core for the egress, the distance and the distance correctly, where the vertical cores are disconnected from the corridor and not properly placed, the system will not generate the design. Now, this is some use cases of Fisher McCoy architects in New York City, and that was done by architect Fariba McCoy herself. And just to show you that this is a job that a client was debating if to buy an A rights or not to buy an A rights, and there's some zoning, city of yes, that allows them for more buildable area. So different schemes, different floors, and she's doing these schemes really fast. She can evaluate 3 different schemes to the client before he's even purchasing the property. And you can see the floor plates of each scheme and the differences, and it's very easy for the clients to start and seeing what they can build. What's really matters for developers is the unit mix, how many studios, 1 bedroom, 2 bedrooms they can place, and then see the total of the whole building. Like you see the tables, gross and net area. That's another building. I think that would be the last building. So that's that's what we're doing, and I'm happy to answer any questions if someone is curious to know anything. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, Dity. Thanks for showing us all these case studies and the projects. It's very helpful to see how the platform is helping all these like professionals in solving real world problems. So you do work with architects, right? Mainly. Can you tell us about your clients and what the process is like? So I'm curious, where does ArcDesign in the process, in the lifecycle process, help? Is it like the programming phase, or later like in the design development? It's definitely, it's mostly the schematic design phase, right? Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
So as I said, it's the very, very initial design where a real estate developer is thinking to buy a property, and then even after, and then they would like to see different options and their unit mix, which, and their sellable area or rentable area. But that's very critical on the early stages, and they must know that the design is complying to the regulatory requirements. So we're at this stage that pre-purchase the property, and also after they're purchasing the property, they can go more into details and play with it. Our users are architects, but I have to see that I see more and more engagement by real estate developers. So they actually, because instead of the clients just bugging them, let's try this option, that option, let's try 5-story, let's try 2 buildings, let's try 20 stories, one, so they just refer their clients to the system, and I see and their clients are working on the system. We're doing the onboarding to them. So more and more I see actually real estate developers.
Wonderful.
And architects. It's together. They work on that together, and they're really, really sharing the design together, and that's what happens.
Amazing. Great. Thank you, Dity. There's a question for you. So Himanshu Sharma is asking, can ArcDesign help with analyzing the existing building or maybe a project which is under development, and then what would be the input required?
Yes, we can. We created it for ground up. That said, I already seen conversions from, now it's very hot in the US talking about converting offices into residential buildings. So some people are using that for that use case. It wasn't meant to, but yes, it's possible. Depends on the project, actually.
Great. Thank you. Wonderful.